Welcome to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast, brought to you by Dizmang Productions.
He's been hit by a car and he's kind of in repose on Adams Boulevard right now.
Say what you mean and mean what you say.
The things you think are the biggest problems you've got right now are really not that big a deal.
I can assure you that the statistical probability of death remains constant at 100%.
Oh, man.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Enjoy life.
Hey, this is Scott Townsend. Welcome back to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. Today I have with me special guest. I'm not going to tell you who it is just yet. See if you can tell by the bio here. This person is a 32-year realtor. They've built a multi-million-dollar business, starting with $1,000. We'll talk to this person about that maybe. Has created a simple way to help investors grow their wealth through investing in single-family homes. This person is a national educator and speaker, and has been a presenter at the National Association of Realtors annual conference 6 times, numerous state conferences, and the prestigious CRS national conferences. Wow. And so this person also is on page on the yearbook. This person's on page 32, 33, 35, 84. Was on the speech team in high school and a member of FTA. Can you guess who it is? If you can't, here it is. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Dizmang. Paul, how's it going?
Hey, Scott, good to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm surprised, but yeah.
Why are you
great.
surprised? You're
I didn't know that. I really didn't expect this would happen, truthfully. And I guess I figured I'd be more, if it were to even happen, around 280, 290, somewhere in that ballpark. So, but it's an honor. It's good to catch up with you. I mean, we had a, conversation last week and it was great to catch up. It's been a very, very long time. So,
yeah. So where are you speaking to us from?
So I'm in Springfield, Missouri, not too far away from Bartlesville.
Yeah.
So I didn't wander way, way, way. I've been here actually ever since I left Bartlesville. I went to school here in Springfield and then got married and stay here and been here ever since. Just never left. So yeah. And it's close because, my family, I still have a lot of family in Bartlesville.
Oh, yeah.
And my parents, of course, continue to live there. They're both deceased now, but yeah, one of my brothers and sisters, they still live in Bartlesville as well. So it's good because it's still close, It still feels like home there for sure.
That's cool. So when you think back to College High, now your track record with College High is you came in the middle of College High or during your junior year or back in, well, how'd that all work out? I mean, you were Barsham before and then.
Yeah, it's kind of a different path for me than a lot because I grew up in Bartlesville, born and raised there, of course. And so what happened was my parents, we moved outside of the city to Circle Mountain. But at that time, I mean, there was nothing at Circle Mountain. I mean, there was no development, nothing, it was a dirt road and, it'd flood and all kinds of things. But yeah, nothing was up there. Nothing was there.
What grade were you in when this happened? What did you say?
I was 5th grade is when I was. So a lot of these guys, I knew because we grew up together. We played baseball together. We did all kinds of things together. But then all of a sudden we moved up there and I remember going to my first day of class and I was there and my brother as well. We were there and like normal, no big deal. And all of a sudden we get called to the principal's office and I'm like, what? I didn't do anything. I swear to you, I didn't do anything.
It's only the first day.
Yeah, so they pulled us in and I sat there for what seemed like days, but it was an hour or two. for the parents to come, and come to find out, they told us that they found out we were now in a different school district. So here we were planning on going to Bartlesville. I don't know if my parents really knew or if they were trying to just get around the system. I don't know. But so, and literally the road right in front of our house was the dividing line between Bartlesville and Col-Hi Valley. So my whole world got uprooted. It was totally a shock to me. And now I had to go to Col-Hi Valley School, which I didn't even know where that was. Right. So next thing I know, I'm riding a bus an hour and 20 minutes each way to Oshaleta, Oklahoma. Right. And I remember the first day there, it was so different because they had such a dress code there. So you had a dress code, which in Bartlesville, we didn't have one.
Right.
And, this is the 70s, right?
Uh-huh.
So I remember the first day, here it is. I mean, I went in there an hour and a half. I get called in the principal's office because my hair, because my hair was below my ear. Yeah.
Oh.
So they literally, I had, of course, now I'm really miserable because they had to give a haircut because their hair in the handbook had to be above the ear, above the collar. I mean, very, very conservative. Yeah. So anyway, I went to Col-Hi Valley for a number of years because of that. And then kind of what happened is I, of course, loved baseball and basketball both. I did some track. And so I was actually high jumping. And now Col-Hi Valley was a very poor school. And at that time, I don't know today, but it was a very, very poor school. And so I remember high jumping. Well, I broke my arm, compound fracture.
Oh my God.
One of those nasty, both bones out of the, what's so gross about this is when I did it, both bones came out and two bones. Yep. Sorry, guys. It actually went into the dirt. That's right. Into the dirt. They had to pull my bone out of the ground like a steak. I know.
Oh
crazy.
my God.
Oh, it was tragic. So, of course, now all sports are ruined for me. And so hospital, I had 7 surgeries and a little over 2.5 years in a cast.
2.5 years in a cast?
Yeah. Yeah. Rods and pins. And, they didn't know. Matter of fact, they thought that there was a really strong chance I was going to lose my arm. And but thankful that didn't happen.
Right.
So wow. And although no one would ever know it now, and they don't, I have about 80% movement in it. I don't have full total in that right arm still.
When you say movement, what do you mean? You can't stretch it out all the way?
Well, little things, right? Little things like here you are going to anywhere, restaurant or something like that, and someone gives you change and you hold your hand out, right?
Yeah.
Like this, right?
Right.
I can't do this motion with my right hand. My fingers, I can't flatten them. So little things like that.
Yeah.
So I can't totally torque my wrist. I mean, minor stuff. You just, look, over the years, you just get used to it. And you don't think anything about it.
Right.
You just get,
at least you have your arm.
Totally. Right. So what that did is that caused me then to start doing other things. And I had a teacher actually, I got into Future Farmers of America, FFA. I didn't, we didn't have cattle or anything like that. It would just seem like kind of a thing to do.
Right. Everybody else is doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did. And my ag teacher kind of pulled me aside one day and realized, hey, this whole ag thing, I got another path. So maybe let's try speech. So they had if you want to call it, they didn't really have a speech program. The speech program for Future Farmers consisted of one guy, and that was me. That was it. I mean, so I kind of did it and I loved it. I really got into it and fun. So here it is in my junior year, and there's just nowhere to go. I kind of got in, I saw some other guys talking about debate, and obviously sports are out. I'm still in a cast. And that was it. So I really reached out and thought there's got to be something different. And Col-Hi was an answer. So I met with Robert Touchstone, who is the
Right.
speech debate coach.
Yeah.
And we tried to figure out a way if I could transfer schools, and through his help, we got that done. So therefore I came in my senior year. I was able to get the transfer done. Of course, parents helped me get that done. I mean, they really did it.
Right.
I just said, hey, let's do this. So we transferred, and so I came into Col-Hi. So it was an interesting experience for me coming to Col-Hi, because here it is, when I come, I already know some of the guys there because I grew up with them, right? Now, someone that may have been there 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I may not have known because I just didn't hang around. And my parents had a bookstore downtown Bartlesville on Dewey Street they owned for a lot of years. And
What was that called?
Let's see, what was that called? Oh boy.
Dewey, huh?
Yeah, it's on Dewey. It's kind of across from the Anthony building, is where it was. Gosh, was it just Bartlesville Books or something? Oh, great. Gosh, I haven't thought about that in years.
All right.
Yeah, they owned it 12 or 15 years at least. That's what
Yeah.
my mother did, is ran the bookstore there. So
Right.
yeah.
Let's go back to your arm for a
Long story
second.
about that, but that's
Let
how
me-
I
let me-
ended up at Col-Hi.
Let me go back to your arm for a second.
Oh, okay.
So what did you do to break your arm? What were you doing when it broke?
So what I did is, it was after school and we were practicing. Of course, I was on the track team, and high jumping is what I really like doing. And I'd actually
Not pole vaulting,
no, I
Just-
tried it, but
just high jumping. Okay.
in poles just didn't work very well. I couldn't hang on to the thing. So of course you would Fallsbury. So basically you'd start in the middle and you'd run around, and right when you got to the bar, you'd come up over your back, right? Well, this school, what we did, this school was so we just didn't have a lot of resources. And this is no exaggeration. We literally had a fish net that had some foam stuffed in it, but the net had broke and some of the foam, and you kind of had to predict where you were going to land because it did not cover the entire bar. So some guys that would jump from right to the center or center to the left, you literally would have to move it. Otherwise, you're not going to land on foam.
Right.
So it was kind of broke. I mean, you just had, that's what we had, right? Well, I if I got lazy or what, and I didn't move it quite right. So when it went over, I don't remember if I cleared the bar or not, by the way, but when I went over, as I came down, I'm literally in there looking down and going, uh-oh, I'm not gonna hit it. So about the middle of my back hit the mat. And when I saw it, of course, I put my arm down, and I was jumping just over 6 feet. So here I am, 6 foot in the air coming down. I put my right arm down, just a natural reaction, right?
Right.
When the arm hit the ground, it just snapped and down it went. So that was it.
You sent over a picture, and this is kind of goes back to your baseball.
I don't know if
You were talking about baseball, and
I don't know if I
growing-
should have done that or not, but
I mean, this is a great picture. I mean, and I'll put it up on the screen here.
okay.
But yeah, I recognized some of these kids instantly, and some I didn't. But here's
Some of them
the.
are pretty, haven't changed
What-
much in all these years, right?
So what grade was this?
Okay, so that was like 1971, 72 is about
Okay.
when that was.
Okay.
We were like 7 years old, I think.
Yeah.
7, 8, something like that. Knights of Columbus baseball. And so we were all pretty close. I love playing the game. And Chris Zervis, of course, we were pretty good friends then. His dad was a coach
Yeah.
at that
See him.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in there. And then, of course, Tom Toonan and
Wait,
a lot of
wait.
guys-
Tom Toonan. Where's
Tom Tuna, he's in there somewhere.
Tom Toonan?
But I also remember, he wasn't in this picture, I know, but I remember playing with Phil Pasqua, and
Oh yeah.
and he was pitching, and I hated to bat against him. He was, he scared me. He was fast.
Pat C. Who was Pat C?
Pat Connor.
Pat Connor. Okay.
Yeah, Pat Connor. Pat, he graduated from Col-Hi too. And I think he played tennis, if I remember right.
Yeah. Jack Trotter.
Oh yeah, Jack Trotter. Yeah.
And who's this guy next to Jack? I can't read that. Mark M. or kid, right?
No, I don't know. That you're
kid
taxing
right
me
here.
a little bit. I have
Yeah.
to put my glasses out here and see what you're looking at. Oh, that yes. It'll come to me.
Is it Mark?
It's not Mark
M?
McGuire. Yeah, Mark McGuire. That's who it is.
Is it?
Oh, from the Cardinals, hit the Big Mac, right? Yeah, I would love to say that. I played with Mark McGuire.
Mark Malaby?
Gosh, that did not sound right.
Yeah. Let's go to this next kid over here. It's got
I'm
a
sorry. I don't remember.
Tom E.
I know. Hey, Mark, I'm sorry. Sorry.
It's
Tom,
as Donnie Moreland says, that we're blaming it on the 57-year-old brain.
There it is.
Yeah.
There.
So Tom E. Who's Tom E?
I think that's Tom Evans, if I remember right.
Tom Evans. Okay.
I think so. Now, some of these guys aren't, around. Kevin Fitzpatrick. Now, Kevin.
That's the next one I was going to ask about, this kid next to you.
Yeah. So Kevin and I, we had a lot of birthday parties together. We were great friends because his birthday was one day off of mine. So our parents would get together and we had the same thing. We would do that. So, yeah, old memories, right? I mean,
I'm going to go through some lightning round here. Ask you questions. Boy. First thing that comes to mind, just let her rip. First person that comes to mind when you think of College High. First senior.
The first senior. Probably Christy Brooks.
Christy Brooks. Okay. Favorite part of senior year. What was your favorite part of senior year?
Well, I had a lot. It probably favorite part school-wise would definitely be debate, because I came for the speech, and then Robert Touchstone got me really into debate, and I loved debate. Absolutely loved it. And matter of fact, that's I got a scholarship for debate. It's part of the reason I went to Evangel. I got a scholarship to go there in it. So I really wasn't that good at it, but I really enjoyed it. That's for sure. So that was a lot of it. I had a lot of good memories there because I really like Col-Hi. But some of it is kind of a faint memory. So I remember, right. And I remember going, I just can't remember if this was our year or not, but I remember going to the big Sooner Col-Hi football games, right? And the pep rallies before. And I always liked that. I remember they used to, burn the Sooner Spartan, the greenie weenie. Can I say that?
No.
Gone are the good old days, right? We got to have a bonfire in the front lawn of College High School. I love that. I love that.
It wasn't always on the front lawn, was it? It was somewhere else, wasn't it? Yeah.
I remember now. See, I've got I've got two brothers, two sisters, and my two sisters and one brother graduated from Col-Hi as well, way before me. Oh, okay. I was the youngest of five. So then my other brother, who is close to me, who still lives in Bartlesville, by the way, he of course went to Kenny Valley like I. Now he graduated from there. So, but I'm the one that came back. So I'm glad I did.
Worst part of College High. Worst part of your senior year. What?
The worst part of my senior year is probably me being stupid. That's probably it. Dumb. being the dork that I was. Yeah. Letting my own mind games get in the way, kind of thing. Because that's probably truly the worst part for me, because I didn't really have a bad experience there. I will tell you, I remember this. So I remember showing up for the first day. Now, remember, it's a new school to me, and yet I still know some people there, but pretty intimidating. And
And
that
you got called into
was-
the principal's office.
Oh, yeah, right. Again, I should have. So, looking back, so I remember, of course, nervous going in, trying to, am I going to fit in? Am I not? All those kind of things.
So
And
this
I
was your
remember-
first day of senior high?
First day, senior high at Col-Hi,
senior
right?
class.
Senior
Yeah.
first day. I remember walking in, and this is a memory I wish I could forget, but I walked in and trying to, fit in and do that like we all want to, right?
Right.
We all do, of course. So this is early 80s now, remember, 1981. And the big thing was, the preppy handbook, right? And I remember trying to be all preppy, walking in with bright lime green pants and a pink polo shirt. I'm
With the
surprised.
collar popped.
Oh, I'm like, I can't believe, the whole football team didn't shove me in a locker and leave me all day. I really am surprised I got out so lucky. I look at me, I'm like, God, that was dumb. Yeah, sure. Yeah. What an image for that. But it seemed like the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's so funny.
so yeah, I'd say that could be one of those. Yeah, like I said, you've seen the movies.
Yeah.
Kids get shoved in a locker. Yeah,
Mhm.
that I'm surprised that didn't happen. It should have probably.
What
I
car
was
did
just
you
trying
drive?
too hard, I think.
What car did you drive?
Oh goodness. The coolest car a kid could drive in high school, right? A 4-door yellow Chevy Citation.
Can't be any
Uh-huh.
cooler than mine.
Of
Four-door
course, it was my
King-
mother's car.
Yeah.
When I got to drive it. So yeah, when I got to drive it. And so yeah, nothing like a Chevy Citation. Oh, I got to tell you though, this is one of those about a car story. So so my dad later on in the year, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't do all that. So, these cars that we had were, very, very worn and used. And I'm sure you remember the time it was a really big deal. If anybody ever got a new car, family or whatever, it's like the neighborhood would come over to see it. It's just
Mhm.
kind of a different time.
Right.
And I remember this so well. And once again, talk about a college high regret. I remember my dad got so excited. He finally decided to buy a new car. He bought this really cool Pontiac Grand Prix, maroon, had the, crushed red velvet seats. And, I just begged him to drive this car, begged him. And he finally allowed me to drive it. So great. And what am I going to do? I'm a thinking guy. So I had a border collie, just an adorable dog. He was a great dog. Loved this dog. And I thought, best way to do this and show off this car, take my dog with me. So I got in Dad's car, gave him the key, got his brand new Grand Prix, got the dog up front, driving around, and had another friend or two with me. And it was just a great experience. And it worked, something about, had I known better at the time, I would have had puppies, and those kind of things. But girls love the dogs, you go
Right.
through and, oh, look at that. And so, I'm like, oh yeah, look at the dog and look at the car and how cool it is. Right. Yeah. Until the next morning, my dad comes in and wakes me out of bed and is furious, absolutely furious. I don't think I've ever seen him this mad before, because one little thing I forgot to do is when I got home, I'm feeling good. I'm excited, right? I left the dog in the car all night in his brand new car. And that dog, it went everywhere in that car. Oh my God. He opened the car in the morning to go to work, and the dog in it just reeks because the dog had gone everywhere. And I am just like, oh no. And and I scrubbed on that car I mean, he said, get out there. And
Oh my
I took it to the
God.
car wash. Oh, my hands were just so sore and just like, oh, how dumb, you know. What seemed like a great idea at the time. Coming
Well,
home,
if you would have
so
let the
excited.
dog out, it still would have been a good idea.
Yeah, and I'm a huge dog lover. I love dogs, and I feel don't like send letters. Okay, it's a long time ago. The dog was fine.
It was overnight. Yeah.
I was a little sore for quite a while after the beating I deserved, but you know,
oh my God.
oh, good Lord, it was nuts. Yeah. So yeah, because I even remember driving out there and I was all excited because I remember I think Tandy Tucker and Christy Brooks and I want to say Lori. I don't remember, it was all in the car and that were car next to us. Sorry, not my car. And we got their attention, and it was like, oh my gosh, they did it.
That's hilarious.
Oh boy, yeah,
That's a good one.
the craziness and silliness of that. Sorry to digress. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
yellow
that's-
Chevy Citation, you know, the
Oh
the hot
my
car. And I
God.
pretty much got banned from that too. I
Oh,
think
I'm
I had to
sure,
walk
yeah.
to school or something for a while.
What's the biggest change you've seen in the last 40 years from a societal standpoint, from a
Oh, wow.
whatever? What's the biggest change? I don't know how else to ask that. It could be anything.
Where do I start? Right, there have been tremendous amount of changes just from
But the biggest,
we
which
were-
one do you think has the most impact? What
boy.
I know there's been 1,000, 1,000,000, but
Yeah, where do you start? There have been huge changes. I mean, I think the society that we had in school that time, it definitely, I mean, here it is 1981, 82. You know, I went to school as you and others, and it was totally, and this, I don't know why this comes to mind. I think it was just the whole climate, if you will, as in here we'd come to school. It was not uncommon for us to have guns in our, you know, in a gun rack behind our, you know, in the truck of a car. And
right.
I mean, that you never even think about seeing that today, of course. It was a much looser environment. School shootings didn't happen. The fear that some kids have and parents have, we didn't have that. You know, you could walk blocks and bikes, and like I think I saw someone interview before that you had said, which by the way, I love what you're doing here. It's been a lot of fun watching everybody see what they're doing and so forth. But just the whole change of the neighborhoods and the things that we used to do, that there's no way you would let your kids go
Right.
as far. I mean, I was 7, 8, 9 years old. And I mean, we drove and rode bikes and walked any and everywhere. And you wouldn't even consider that today.
And the worst thing that could ever happen was if you had to go in the house when it's a beautiful day outside and all your friends are playing outside. Whereas now kids they stay in the house. They don't play outside. It's totally different. It's totally opposite.
You know, I still remember, being in Bartlesville, and you grew up there, right? Or when did you come to Bartlesville?
Yeah, 72.
okay. All right. Well, then I'm sure you remember the big pesticide trucks that drove through the streets.
Right.
And, you know, it just fogged the entire street everywhere.
And kids
what did we do? We'd ride our bikes in it. You know, it's a fog. You can't, right? Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
I don't know how we lived through it. Living up, you know, breathing all that DDT or whatever we were breathing. It's just like, you know, and there was a sign
straight
on the
from
back.
Vietnam.
There was a sign on the back of the truck that said, you know, stay 50 feet back. Of course, you couldn't see the sign when it's putting all the pesticides out, only when it was sitting idle. So like that did.
Thank you for listening to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. And we'll be right back after this.
Pop's Daylight Donuts, man, they've got the best tasting donuts. sausage wraps, pastries, in Northeast Oklahoma. And also, if you'll tell the staff there, hey, Scott Townsend said to give me a large spicy pig, they'll give you a free large spicy sausage wrap. But you have to tell them Scott Townsend sent you. So tell them, hey, Scott Townsend told me to tell you to give me a large spicy pig. So there's the offer. There's the call to action. So go to Pop's Daylight Donuts. Say hi to Mark for me. And yeah, go to Pop's Daylight Donuts and get you some. The other sponsor is Cast-A-Fly Outdoor Adventures.
Adventure. That's where it begins. We look to create and document our moments in time while embracing the majestic wonder and beauty of the great outdoors. Our quest is to explore the back roads of the Ozarks, camping, fishing, and just getting lost. Refresh your spirit and join us on our next adventure.
Paul and his crew invite you to subscribe to the Cast-A-Fly Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel. So predict what the biggest change today's seniors will see 40 years from now.
Well, obviously we're seeing a huge change. I had a young man, their families are very, very close to me. And I had their son come and work for me for a summer. And he did a great job, hard worker, young man. And he actually is now just he graduated a year ago or so. But what was interesting to me is that the change in, not that our education system isn't good, I'm not saying that, but the change that hit me straight off and hard about from a couple things. One, finance is how are we handling our kids and the finance and the way it works. And second of all, I got a real dose of reality because I had handed him a list. Here's some things that I want you to do. And he's a smart guy. I mean, he really is a smart young man. And he stopped and he held this list and looked at it and looked at me, and you could just tell that something wasn't right. Okay. Something wasn't right. He wasn't understanding something I asked him to do. And he said this, he goes, well, okay, Paul, I said, is there something you don't understand, or please ask? I want to help. I want this to work. And he said this, he said, well, I can't read cursive. What do you mean you can't read cursive? We grew up with that, right?
Right.
They don't teach that anymore. It was just this harsh reality. I had no idea that they don't do that anymore. And they don't teach it. So a lot of those basic things. So the way technology has taken off in our lives, we try to be technological affluent. I mean, here we are doing a podcast and all kinds of things. And I'm telling you, the seniors of today are, in a year, 2 years, are already so outpacing us in technology, we can't keep up. The environment of that. Now, the downside that I see to that environment is they don't have maybe as much personal interaction as we did, because somebody also mentioned if we had cell phones and texting when we were in high school, right? Wow, what a change that would be. I'm
Glad
sure
we didn't.
Oh yeah, in a way I am too, really. But I remember when we got this was huge. When my mother finally said, that's it, and invested in the 25-foot long phone cord that you could take and pull all the way down the hallway and hide in the room or whatever, right? Big deal. So yeah, seniors today, they have so much opportunity. The one downside on the finance side, what I see happening though, is the college education, which I'm a huge believer in, but this college debt is a real problem that so many of these people are getting burdened with. In my job now today, I'm constantly seeing tenants come in because we have about 900 plus tenants that I deal with, because I manage a lot of single family houses because I do investment real estate. But so with this, I see a lot of people come in and they have this huge amount of college debt that they incurred. And some of them have graduated, some didn't graduate. And even those that have graduated, some of them are in these jobs that I don't know how they're ever going to get out of this debt. They rack $50,000, $60,000, $75,000 in debt for a job that's paying them $35,000, $40,000 a year. And it's just tough stuff. So I see this divide almost where some people are becoming more affluent and others aren't. So I think a lot of seniors are going to have to recognize that, I guess. That makes sense, but
Yeah. So 40
I
years
think
from now,
finance is the big thing.
40 years from now, where are we going to be? Where are the seniors today going to be 40 years from now? What's what are they going to say is the biggest change in their society, in their world? What between now and 40 years from now, what's the biggest change for them?
They're probably going to say, obviously, something just like you and I are saying from a financial perspective. I wish I would have bought Apple stock, that kind of thing.
Right.
Had I only known, right.
Google,
Had I wish I would have, right. Those kind of things. But man, 40 years from now, I got to tell you, it's a great question. I can't even predict 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Because it is changing so rapidly and so
that's true.
fast that, I saw a science article really, and as crazy as this sounds to us, and, there are so many technological advances. This one right here that we're doing, 15, 20 years ago, we're like, what do you mean you were going to be able to video truly this easy and seamlessly? But I saw one that they actually think that they have the possibility and technology now to where you will be able to transmit, which again, this is way out there, but be able to transmit some of your thoughts to other individuals without speaking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've done some research in it in the sense of you've got people that are deaf and mute, and but the possibilities with that going forward. So this whole telepathic thing, which are so futuristic, they're acting like it may not be that unthinkable to do.
Huh.
So I know it sounds kind of scary. Big Brother's watching already. So
Yeah.
Think about that possibility.
And I hesitate to say all that'll never happen because so many people have said that in the past and are wrong, and so
you don't want to say that about anything.
The only thing that's never happened that everybody keeps saying is going to happen is we're going to be flying around like the Jetsons. That still hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't, but they do have jetpacks.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
they do exist.
Yeah.
I think they haven't figured out a way to, let's say you could do it, right? How are you going to navigate that traffic with all these millions of people running around, and even drones? I mean, I've got a drone, and you limit it within a certain number of feet and things, but
right.
Who knows? It's fun to watch, though. I've enjoyed watching it. That's for sure. I love seeing it. So kind of fun that way. But
you got a big barbecue coming up, and you have 5 tickets. And you're going to give these 5 tickets to. You can only give them to a senior, a graduating member of 1982. Who would you give these 5 tickets to besides me? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, are you asking me this if I was a senior in 1982?
No, right now.
Asking me it today.
Today.
I'd probably give you a different answer.
Today.
Wow, tough question. Well, gosh, I hadn't even given that any thought. Well, probably definitely Chris Service. Chris and I go way back and friends. I've always loved Chris. I just think he's a phenomenal. I loved his interview, by the way. That was
it was good. It was great.
That was really fun. I probably there's several people. Joe Wallace, I remember being in speech with Joe. I really enjoyed him. Sandy Yeager, again,
I'm going to be, I got a phone call with her this afternoon. She,
oh, do you really? Oh,
yeah,
great.
kind of
Oh,
like
I
what
can't
you and
wait
I
to
did
see
last
that.
week, you know, a pre-show
Oh,
call.
I can't wait to see that. Probably John Lacey. God, you know, you hate naming names because you don't want to exclude people, right? Because there's
Right.
you know, John Sayre. I'd love to see what John's up to. Haven't seen or talked to a
Yeah.
lot of these people in a long time. And John
I
was a
know.
friend. We lived close to each other for a while. Yeah. Wow. You know, probably Lori List. I remember being in a play with Lori and Christy Brooks, and of course Christy, put Christy on the list. We went to church together. Christy and I did. Did I already name 5?
Yeah. What play were you in?
What was the name? It'll come to me. You Can't Take It With You, I think was the play. I think that was the one. And yeah, so you know, it was a whole part of the speech and debate and that kind of thing. It was fun. I have some I remember doing it, loved doing it, because my experience, see, at College High was a little different than most, because not just coming in the senior year, part of my interaction was different in that when I came in, Caney Valley, big surprise here, they did things differently than College High. So the classes that I needed to graduate, so my senior level classes at Caney Valley, several of those classes were actually sophomore and junior classes at College High.
Oh,
So my interaction with a lot of the senior class was really in the library, one study hall I had, and in speech and debate, because like I remember taking Mr. Gay in geometry. Well, that was a senior course at Caney Valley, which I'd planned on taking, but at Col-Hi, which I had to have, it was a sophomore course. So I didn't have as many interaction with some of the seniors as what I planned at Hope, because I ended up being in a lot of sophomore junior classes. Now that was intimidating in a sense, because here I'm a senior. What am I doing in a sophomore class, you know, in the first couple of days? Because they're going, oh no, what's going on with this?
yeah.
But it was just the way it was. And of course, you know, that some of the sophomores, you know, would ask that, and well, why are you in this class? You know, well, that's why. So didn't have a choice to graduate. But that chemistry, you know, those kind of things, really enjoyed taking. But so it was a different experience. So I didn't hang out with as many seniors because it just wasn't with them as much, except, you know, in the hallway when a lot of them would look at me and like, let's shove that guy in the locker.
The lime green pants.
Yeah, exactly.
Your bio, you're really big into this, I say really big into it, like 32 years into this, built a multi-million-dollar business with $1,000. Is that right? I guess it is. It says so right here. There it is, right there.
Well, yeah. Well, so what I do is, when we started this, and I went to Evangel University here in Springfield, and I was going to do and did. I went there for speech and debate, and I really liked it. I mean, it's what turned me. But you know, again, the athletics were over for me, right?
Right.
Not that I would have done anything with it or been that good, but you know, who knows where that would have went. And so I went there and graduated from Evangel, and then I got married to my wife, Brooke, and we got married in 85, I think is when it was. And so we've been married now 36 years. And so she was from Springfield, Missouri. We ended up staying here. And I knew my dad had really impressed on me about, he used to just flat out say, hey, look, I've worked for Phillips in a job I hated for 35 years. It wasn't until he bought his first rental or second rental prop way, way, way later in life that he just really liked it and started to do something. So, So we decided to buy a rental property. So I bought my first property when I was 22 years old, and I was scared to death, and it wasn't the home I'm going to live in. It was a rental property first. And so I just decided
What was so scary about that first rental?
oh, well, I'm buying an investment, and I'm having to borrow money and put everything that I had into this, because when we got married, I really hit that number where between the combined income, I always worked. I mean, I worked in high school, I worked in college, and it's all I did, was work, because it's what I had to do to pay for it to get through college, because I had to, pay for it. So,
Right.
So was very, very frugal. So anyway, what we did is by the time we got there and some of the wedding gifts and all that kind of stuff, and some people gave us money, I remember seeing our bank account. We finally hit $1,000. I couldn't believe it. $1,000. Wow. How is that even possible? What are we going to do? I couldn't believe we had that kind of money. We rented a place here for $160 a month. And it was very, very modest, to say the least, but I felt it's all we could afford. So we bought this rental property, and we were about 3 or 4 days before closing, because my dad highly encouraged me, you got to do this for your own long term. And he was just so positive. And I remember talking to him a few days prior, and then he said, we're under contract, we're going for it. And then he says, now you realize if you do this, you really could lose everything, right? That everything could just go away if you do through this investment, because it gets really risky. Well, now you tell me. Why didn't you tell me before I, tried to do this? And of course he said, well, because you wouldn't have done it. Well, yeah, okay. Kind of that push off the ledge. Mm-hmm. And so after that, we started in the rental business, and it just kind of slowly got started and started working. And then I became a real estate broker. And then I started helping other people buy an investment property. Next thing I know, I'm doing property management, and here we are years later. So we help people actually convert in a lot of cases. Many people have like 401ks and Roths and SEPs and all those. And what they don't realize is you can actually take that kind of money and invest it in real estate. And it's called self-directed IRAs. Anyway, that's kind of what I do, and help them that way. So about 15 plus years ago, maybe a little longer than that, I had a new staff member that started, and I guess it's been 20 years ago. And she was outstanding. She was so smart, young, real energetic, but really forced me out of my comfort zone. And she's still her and her family, very, very close friends of mine. Matter of fact, I live in Edmond, in Oklahoma now. She worked for me for 14 years, and she helped me really get out and push, and then started to do more speaking and more training. And so next thing I know, we're training in multiple states. And she's the one that really made that happen. So cool. Now she runs the Oklahoma Association of Realtors, a 13,000 member association. Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm.
Impressive.
Yeah, she's quite the talent, to say the least. But anyway, didn't mean about that. But so it's been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride.
And the one I always ask everybody. So what would you
good.
tell...
I thought you were gonna ask me about, all those, all those high school crushes and things. I don't really...
I often wonder if I should ask that question, because I don't want to embarrass anybody, and but that was a huge part of high school, is, everybody's checking each other out, and
who are we kidding? I mean, who are we kidding? Of course it was.
So I kind of steer around that question, just because I don't want to embarrass future guests or whatever,
Yeah, sure. Of course. But I don't blame you. I mean, it's kind of that. Some people get uncomfortable about it, For me, it was a whole, the whole senior class of women. I mean, all of them, any of them that would talk to me. Oh my gosh.
There you go. Just all of
them. Most of them, I didn't feel would ever give me the time of day.
Right.
And that was my own stupidity and hang up, I think.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Maybe it
You're
was.
right. It's our own stupidity. You just,
Yeah, you look back and it's not that
there was
would do
nothing to be afraid
different.
of.
No,
It-
but I was scared to death. I mean,
and what is
uh,
it? What is it about the opposite sex that scares the guys so much? What is it?
I think a lot of it is just and as much as I hate to admit it, it also goes even into adult life. And that is we don't like confrontation and we don't like being rejected. It hurts our ego and then it just kills us. And yet often the rejections we get are actually more statements of fact, not necessarily a true rejection, asking, hey, you want to go out Friday night? No, I can't because I've got this. Oh, you hate me. No, it may be that they would later. It just,
they can't
then.
Yeah.
Right. And of course it's very crushing. So,
High
so
school.
Oh, I know. But it was a good ride. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but
It was.
yeah, the obviously, at that time there were, it was different for me because when I went to Caney Valley, it was way, way, way smaller and coming into much bigger school. And, a lot of the guys, they were really pretty kind. I mean, they're all very kind and nice to me. They really were. The hang up was me. I was the problem. And the girls, hopefully nobody at Caney Valley sees this, but they're all prettier and, all those kind of things. Right. So therefore, much more intimidating too.
Yeah. The distance
more
just grew
intimidating.
farther. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Way, way, way more intimidating. So yeah, that's probably the big thing is coming in that way. So I didn't mean to divert from your question, where you were kind of asking me.
The last question is, you're there at the end of the graduation platform and 18-year-old Paul is walking off the stage with his high school diploma.
Oh, yeah.
And you tell him, knowing what I know now, here's the advice I would give my 18-year-old self. What would that be?
Well, walking off from graduation, I probably at that moment would probably have to say that, you need to seize every single moment because of this simple fact is you can't get more time. You just don't realize it at the time because you think everything sometimes takes so long or they're always going to be tomorrow. And that's just not really true. And you just, as much as we want to believe it and we know it and we say it, it just doesn't always sink in with us to really, at least me anyway. Because you always think, I got next week or tomorrow or something like that.
A 50-year-old, that's an eternity from now,
Oh, absolutely. I've kind of, and I know this has been tossed around a lot, and I know that, but it still rings hard to me is because, again, my best friend told me this a while back, and that is pick your hard, right? Pick your hard, which means here you are on stage at 18. It's hard to decide what you're going to do, this or that, right? I mean, it is hard sometimes to make decisions, but if you make no decision or you choose not to do something that's challenging, that means therefore that this isn't going to happen or that won't happen, which means you may be in a whole different position. So from a position of, well, should I go to school or not go to school? Well, pick your heart. If you go to college, then hopefully you're going to get an education and get the degree you want.
It's going to be hard to study,
but it's hard to study.
The
other thing is if you don't, well, now what are you going to do? You're going to often and go back into the workforce, and that's going to be hard. So which one do you want to do? And there's 1,000 different examples, even in our own daily life. No, if you want to start going back farther and you want to say, what would I have done differently? If I could tell myself on the first day of school, I'd say, get rid of the green pants and don't be a dork. Right? Don't be a dork. Don't be stupid.
Oh,
So
man.
that's what I would have told them then. And don't be afraid to ask her out. Don't ask her out. Whoever she is.
Right.
All of them.
Oh, man.
Yeah. What if
your-
she says no? Maybe she is busy. Who knows? Right. I mean, so I don't, again, I try not to have any regrets. Would I've done things differently? Yeah, sure. I would have gone to prom. I should have gone to prom, but I didn't. I don't want to say I regret it. I just wish I would have.
Right.
Kind of thing. It was stupid on my part. It was dumb, too intimidated. So,
Weren't we all?
All those kind of things.
Well, Paul, it's been a good hour. Here we are
Has it been
catching
that
up,
long?
and
Wow.
yeah, it's thanks for your time, and thanks for just talking about old times and
love it.
life lessons and all that.
No, it's I really do appreciate it. Scott, I know you and I briefly talked about your quest in doing this. I'm telling you, I've watched every one you've put up. It's been fun. Some I just didn't know very well, but it's been fun to see what they're doing and how. And I really want to say thank you to that. For that.
No, I appreciate that.
And if there's somebody I should have mentioned and didn't, I'm sorry. Forgive me, please.
That's the danger in starting to name people.
Oh, I know it. Isn't it though? I mean, so yeah, there is, and a lot of it, you fade. I wish I didn't have so many faded memories, but yeah.
There you go. So Paul, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for joining us. Have a good rest of the day.
You too, Scott. Appreciate it. Thank you, buddy.
So
We'll go do Murphy's when I come to town.
Yeah. So for Paul Dizmang, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for listening to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
The last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast is a Dizmang production. For more episodes, visit the Last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.